Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Guys That Magic. This is Hunter coming at you with another deck tech. This time we are taking a look at a brand new legendary creature from Final Fantasy and building a commander deck around it. You already know what it is because you've clicked on this video, but it is Choco, Seeker of Paradise. But before we start talking about the card and all the cards in the deck, I just want to remind everybody what this is. It's a deck tech. We go through, we talk about every single one of all 100 cards that are in the deck, talk about why they're good synergy-wise. We also have a budget that we like to do, so we keep these deck techs between $300 and $400 at the time of recording. That could be changed. Check the description for the deck list if you wanted to check it out. But hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you're staying up to date with all these other videos that we are putting out. So let's go ahead and talk about our commander. This is Choco, Seeker of Paradise. It is 1, a green, a white, and a blue for a 3/5 legendary creature bird. It says whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may put one of them into your hand, then you may put any number of land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped and the rest into your graveyard. It also has landfall, which means whenever a land you control enters, Choco gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So, the name of the game here is we are a bird kindred deck with some landfall themes. I'm here for it. I own a landfall deck myself, so when I came to building this, I threw in some cards that I was pretty familiar with, but we also really tried to stick to the flavor of Final Fantasy, tried to keep it just within the bird family, and you will see that moving forward. So the kind of ideas here: get a bunch of birds, swing in, get a bunch of lands, throw them onto the field, keep hitting those landfall triggers, and deal a bunch of damage. The only downfall with Choco, unfortunately, it is a flightless bird. So this does not have the flying capabilities that most of the birds in the deck do, you will see, but still a very powerful effect. So let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with some creatures. So we will start with some brand new creatures. Like I said, we are trying to stick around to the Final Fantasy cards. I am not a Final Fantasy player myself, but a lot of these had very similar synergies. I noticed at the bottom of all these cards that they come from different Final Fantasies, so I can only assume that bird themes is a thing throughout Final Fantasy. No idea. Comment below. I don't know any of the lore behind these cards. Let's get into them. This first one is Ambrosia Whiteheart. It is 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature bird. It's got flash, and when it enters, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. It also has landfall, which means whenever a land you control enters, Ambrosia Whiteheart gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So very similarly to Choco, this gets +1/+0 for every landfall trigger. The great thing about this is that it enters, you can go ahead and bounce one of your lands because it says permanent, not non-land permanent. Play that again for a land drop in case you're missing one. Bart's and Boko is 3 and 2 green for a 4/3 legendary creature human bird. It has affinity for birds, which means this spell costs 1 less to cast for each bird you control. And when it enters, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. If we are going wide with the birds, this comes in, bang, we're probably just machine gunning down one of the opponent's creatures or multiple creatures. It's great. Saz's Chocobo is just 1 green mana. Little bird here for a 0/1 creature bird. It's got landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. This creature will get big in a hurry. Got some brand new summons here. Very interesting new card type. We have Summon Choco/Mog. It's 2 and a white for a 3/3 enchantment creature saga bird Moogle. Its first, second, third, and fourth, all the same lore counters are the same. It's got Stampede. Other creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Do keep in mind with these summons, they do disappear after that final lore counter. So like I said, keep that in mind. It's going to be sad when they disappear, but for their abilities when they're here, very good. Summon Fat Chocobo. It's 4 and a green for a 4/4 enchantment creature saga bird. Its first lore counter is Wark, which means create a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And its second, third, and fourth and final lore counter is Kerplunk. Creatures you control gain trample until end of turn, just to ensure that damage. And then Traveling Chocobo is our final brand new creature that is a bird that's going in. It's 2 and a green for a 3/2 creature bird. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. And if a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So double landfall triggers, playing birds, and lands off the top of your library. Traveling Chocobo is an absolute all-star in this deck. So I did mention Traveling Chocobo, the last final new bird, but it's not the last final new creatures. We do have 3 more creatures. They aren't birds, but they do synergize really well in this deck. So this first one is Hermes, Overseer of Elpis. Hope I'm saying that correctly. It's 3 and a blue for a 2/4 legendary creature, Elder Wizard. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying and vigilance. And then whenever you attack with 1 or more birds, you scry 2. So just a very awesome effect here. We do have lots and lots of just non-creatures in this deck as well. So we will be making a bunch of birds with Hermes. Saz Katzroy is 3 and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature human pilot. Says whenever it enters, you may search your library for a bird or a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. Then whenever this attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then double the number of +1/+1 counters on that creature. Absolutely wild here. This will make birds grow very quickly. And hey, if you're missing a land drop, go and get it with Saz. And then our final creature that we're throwing in that's brand new from the set is just good old Tifa Lockhart. 1 and a green for a 1/2 legendary creature human monk. It's got trample, and it's got that landfall trigger that says whenever a land you control enters, double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. Because we are going to be able to play as many lands as possible, Tifa Lockhart can get very big very quickly, and because it has trample, it's going to hit someone for a lot of damage. Be on the lookout for Tifa Lockhart. Those are all the Final Fantasy cards, but let's go ahead and jump straight into some more creatures, specifically birds. This first bird, Birds of Paradise. 1 green, creature, bird, 0/1. Flying, tap it for 1 mana of any color. Self-explanatory. Aven Interrupter, 1/2 white for a 2/2 creature, bird rogue. It's got flash and flying and says when it enters the battlefield, exile target spell. It becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from graveyards or exile cost 2 more to cast. So if we see something pesky that our opponent's playing, flash in Aven Interrupter. Say, hey, take a turn off when you're casting that card. It also costs 2 more to cast. Cartographer's Hawk is 1 and a white for a 2/1 creature bird. It's got flying and it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you can search your library for a plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Just another way to go ahead and get some more landfall. The Revi Imperial Tactician is a green, a white, and a blue, so all of our colors, for a 2/3 legendary creature bird wizard. It's got flying, and when it enters the battlefield or a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may tap or untap target permanent. And then the last part is just flavor text because you can pay 4 and bring it to the battlefield from the command zone. That's cool if it was your commander, but it's not. Derevi, fantastic card because when we're dealing combat damage with all of our flying birds, which are probably getting in more times than not, we're going to untap lands because we can just now go ahead and just use that mana on main phase 2, play more stuff we wanted. Empyrean Eagle is 1 white and a blue for a 2/3 creature bird spirit, flying. Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. Pump up the birds. Jackdaw Savior, 2 and a white, 3/1 creature bird cleric. It's got flying, and whenever it or another creature you control with flying dies, return another target creature card with lesser mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield. This card is just really fantastic in case something really tries to interrupt what we're doing. We're like, all right, we just lost that creature, but we're going to bring something back anyways. Castrol, the Windcrested, 3 white, blue for a 4/5 legendary creature bird scout. It has flying. It says whenever 1 or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, choose 1. You can put a bird creature card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it, or you can put a +1/+1 counter on each bird you control, or you can draw a card. The flexibility with the Castrol, fantastic here. Who would have thought synergies with birds is a very real thing. Ledger Shredder, 1 and a blue, 1/3 flyer. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. In case you don't remember, you draw a card, then discard a card, but if you discard a non-land card, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So it doesn't matter who casts their second spell, we're just going to be churning through our deck. Mockingbird is X and a blue for a 1/1 creature bird bard, flying. You can have it enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird, except it's a bird, it is true with other types, and it has flying. So if someone's playing something that we want, cast Mockingbird for the exact same mana cost, and boom, we have it too. Plume Creed Escort is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 creature bird scout. It's got flash and flying, and when it enters, target creature you control gains hexproof to end of turn. This just kind of like slows the roll of our opponent really not liking our stuff. So we just flash this in, give it a bit of protection. Senu, Keen-Eyed Protector, is 1 and a white for a 2/1 legendary creature bird scout that's got flying and vigilance. You can also just tap, exile Senu, Keen-Eyed Protector. You gain 2 life and you scry 2. And it says when a legendary creature you control attacks and isn't blocked, if Senu is exiled, you put it onto the battlefield attacking. Yeah. This card is so hard to get rid of. You just tap this down and say, hey, you can't kill this. It's going to exile. And then when something else attacks, say our commander, it's not blocked. This just comes back onto the battlefield. Watcher of the Spheres is a white and a blue for a 2/2 creature bird wizard that's got flying and says creature spells with flying you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever another creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, Watcher of the Spheres gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This is just going to help make stuff cost a little bit cheaper. A lot of the birds from Final Fantasy unfortunately don't have flying, but as you've seen so far, we've got quite a bit of birds that do fly. The final 4 creatures that we are throwing into this deck are not birds, but boy do they synergize well with the deck itself. Azusa Lost But Seeking is a must-have in any kind of land matters decks. It's 2 and a green for a 1/2 legendary creature human monk that just says you may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. You'll see in a very short moment when we get to our artifacts that we can bring lands back from our grave. So if we are fetching, we can fetch multiple times a turn, get multiple landfalls triggers a turn. It's fantastic. Emiria Angel is 2 and 2 white for a 3/3 creature angel. It's got flying and landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Self-explanatory. Make more birds. Lotus Cobra really helps us with our mana. It's 1 and a green for a 2/1 creature snake. It's got landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. That mana of any color is so important here because we are 3 colors. So in case for whatever reason we're not actually hitting our lands, play a land, get another color of that choice, hopefully use it in the time. And then of course, Roaming Throne, because we have a lot of triggers here. Roaming Throne is fantastic. 4 mana for a 4/4 artifact creature golem. It's got ward 2. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You are more than likely saying bird every single time. So Roaming Throne is the chosen type in addition to other types, and it says if a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. Yeah, every single time our birds have a trigger, especially Choco, that triggers twice. Gets out of hand very quickly. Roaming Throne is an absolute all-star in every single Kindred deck. Let's go ahead and head over to the sorcery department now. We will kick it off with, once again, brand new cards that really fit well into this deck from Final Fantasy. The first one, Chocobo Kick. 1 and a green for a sorcery. It does have kicker, and the kicker cost is to return a land you control to its owner's hand. And then it says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. If this spell was kicked, the creature you control deals twice that much damage instead. Yeah, so this is not its normal fight spell. You're not having them fight. You're having it deal damage to a creature because we are bouncing a land, which is perfect. Who cares? We want those land drops anyways to hit the landfall triggers. It's going to be twice that much damage. We're going to be killing one of our opponent's creatures for sure. Gishal Greens is 1 and a green for a sorcery that just says create a 2/2 bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters. This token gets +1/+0 to end of turn. It also has a flashback of 6 and a green. So if we really wanted to do it, we can do it again for 7 mana. But hey, we're just making birds. We are a green deck. We are a landfall deck. We need more lands. So here we are, our ramp package. Cultivate 2 and a green. Search library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards. Put 1 on the battlefield tapped, the other into your hand, then shuffle. Nature's Lore, 1 and a green. Search library for a forest card. Put that on the battlefield, then shuffle. Farseek, 1 and a green. Search library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain. Put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And 3 visits, also for 1 and a green. Search library for a forest. Put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Very important cards here. Go and get the lands you need. For the reasons that our things might not be doing the thing that we need to do as quickly, we need to hit that reset button. So Supreme Verdict, 1, 2 white and a blue sorcery. This spell can't be countered. Destroy all creatures. Oops. Raise the Palisade is very good in any blue deck that cares about Kindred. 4 and a blue sorcery. Choose a creature type. Return all creatures that aren't of the chosen type to their owner hand. Birds. Goodbye. Our final 3 sorceries are just kind of general good stuff for the deck itself. Airborne Aid is 3 and a blue. Draw a card for each bird in play. Yeah, we're birds. We're going to be drawing cards, of course. Alron's Epiphany is just hilarious because of the bird theme. It's 5 and 2 blue. It says create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Alron's Epiphany. You can also foretell it for 4 and 2 blue, which means you can cast this upside down and exile for 2, then later on cast it for that 4 and 2 blue for a cheaper cost, if you will. Yeah, like I said, birds, extra turns, more combat triggers. This is what we want to do. And then Awaken the Woods is X and 2 green for a sorcery. You create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. Now I know what you're thinking. Those aren't birds, but they are forest dryad land creature tokens, meaning they count as lands. So if you're making a bunch of them, that's however many you made, that's how many landfall triggers you're getting. It's a really good card in this deck. Time to move over to some of those instants. That's right, we are in blue, so let's talk about some counter magic first. Good old counter spell, 2 blue, counter target spell. Dazzling Denial is very good in this deck because of birds. 1 and a blue, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If you control a bird, counter that spell unless its controller pays 4 instead. Most of the time, that is going to just be 2 mana, counter target spell. Very same thing as counter spell. And then thematically, why not? Swan Song. 1 blue, instant, counter target, enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 bluebird creature token with flying. So just as a little haha, I countered your stuff, but I'm also a bird deck, so have a bird. We got some removal package in this deck, so Path to Exile and Swords of Plowshares. Of course, you have to play the premier removal in white. Path, exile target creature's controller can search for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. And then Swords, pay 1 mana, exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. A fun little thing that you can do with Path to Exile is, maybe you need 1 more point of commander damage on your opponent. Exile one of your creatures with Path to Exile on attacks. Go and get that land, put it on the battlefield, and then, landfall trigger for yourself. Beast Within and Generous Gift, both kind of the same, both 2 and their respective colors. So Beast Within is 2 in a green, Generous Gift's 2 in a white. You can destroy target permanent. If you're using Beast, you get a 3/3 Beast. If it's Generous Gift, they get a 3/3 green Elephant. So, yeah, destroy whatever their best thing is. We do have to throw in some protection in here because if we're doing our thing, our opponents are not going to like that. So Dawn's Truce, this first one, thematically is fantastic because it's like a giant bird is protecting us. 1 and a white for an instant. You can gift a card, and then it says you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. And if the gift was also promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible to end of turn. Heroic Intervention, 1 and a green, instant, permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible to end of turn. Same with 2 cards, but different colors. So, fantastic. Protect your stuff. Our final 2 instants are just general good stuff for the deck itself. Our first one, Crop Rotation. It is our only game changer in the deck. Keep that in mind. You can upgrade this deck however you want. I'm just throwing in 1 game changer because we are a landfall deck. This specific instant cares a lot about that. It's 1 green mana for an instant that just says, as an additional cost to cast a spell, you sacrifice a land, and then you search your library for a land card, put it on the battlefield, and shuffle. Turn 1, go ahead and get your Triome, because that's what this card is basically saying. Sacrifice that, I don't know, basic forest, get your Triome. Now you have all 3 colors for your next turn. Flurry of Wings is green, white, and blue. All of our colors. Instant, you put X 1/1 white bird soldier creature tokens with flying into play, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So if our opponent is attacking another opponent with a bunch of creatures, we can just play this on their turn and say, hey, we want that many birds. So when it's our turn, we can swing them at you. Moving on to the artifacts of the deck. We'll start with some rocks first. Everybody knows these first 3. Soul Ring, you can tap it for 2 colorless for 1 mana. Arcane Signet is 2 mana. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And Felwar Stone is 2 mana. You can tap to add 1 mana of a color that an opponent could produce, which we are 3 colors. So hopefully one of the 3 opponents at our table is also running one of those 3 colors as well. Patchwork Banner is a fantastic card for Kindred decks. It's 3 mana. Artifact, as it enters, choose a creature type, or probably saying birds. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. You can also tap to add 1 mana of any color. Thought Vessels 2 says you have no maximum hand size. You can tap to add a colorless. And a Herald's Horn, not necessarily a mana rock, but it is a mana reducer. 3 mana. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, birds. And then creature spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. And also, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you can reveal it and put it in your hand. Just extra advantage. Next, artifacts care about land matters. First one, not necessarily, but I'll tell you why it's in this category. It's Amulet of Vigor, 1 mana artifact. Whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped and under your control, untap it. Our commander says throw all of those lands that you saw onto the battlefield tapped. With Amulet of Vigor on the field, it says no, they don't. They come in untapped. Just extra mana is very good. Conduit of Worlds, 2 and 2 green artifact. You can play lands from your graveyard. You can also tap it to choose a target non-land permanent in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So a really, really good card of going to get. Just continuously play fetches, like I was mentioning before, from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's fantastic. And also, hey, if one of our birds died, play that. Crucible of Worlds, also similar. 3 mana artifact. You can play lands from your graveyard. Another brand new artifact from this set that goes great in this deck is Choco Racetrack. 3 and 2 green artifact landfall. Whenever land you control enters, you create a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters, this token gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So just the same kind of effect that we keep seeing with all of the birds from Final Fantasy. +1/+0 for every land. Just keep doing it. Keep creating those birds. It's so good. Our final 3 artifacts just generally are needed in this deck, I think. Bident of Thassa is 2 and 2 blue for a legendary enchantment artifact. It says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. You can pay 1 of the blue, tap it. Creatures your opponents control attack this turn if able. So if we are in a bit of a bind, we can go ahead and just tap down this and make our opponents make sure they swing at someone else so we can get in for damage later. Or just play this as just general good stuff. Drawing cards wins games. We say that all the time. Bident of Thassa, so good. Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. It's just one of those things that, hey, we can attach this to our commander, make them swing in right away because haste is so important as well, especially when it comes to attack triggers. Lightning Greaves is 2 mana. Equipped creature has haste and shroud, equipped cost of 0. And Swiftfoot Boots is 2 mana. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste, and equipped cost of 1. Moving on to the enchantment department of our deck. We've only got 3 in the entire deck, so let's talk about all of them together. The first one is, once again, a brand new card from Final Fantasy. This is Side Quest, Raise a Chocobo. It's 1 and a green for an enchantment that says when this enchantment enters, you create a 2/2 green bird creature token with whenever a land you control enters, this token gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And it also says at the beginning of your first main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, transform this enchantment. Very easy to do with this deck. Once it's transformed, it turns into Black Chocobo. It is a 2/2 creature bird that says when this transforms into Black Chocobo, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. And of course, it's got landfall again. It says whenever a land you control enters, birds, just all birds you control, get +1/+0 until end of turn. Love the ability that it's just going wide with that +1/+0 landfall trigger instead of just itself. I love it. So good in this deck. Murmuration is 4 and a white for an enchantment that just says birds you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. And also at the beginning of your end step, for each spell you've cast this turn, you create a 1/2 blue bird creature token with flying named Stormcrow. And then Spelunking is 2 and a green for an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave onto the battlefield this way, you gain 4 life. Never going to do that, but cool if you want to put caves in the deck. And then lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. So very similar to Amulet of Vigor. This is just going to go ahead and just say, hey, all the lands that Chocobo put on the battlefield tapped, they don't. Finally, let's go ahead and move on to the land department. We are a landfall deck, so we got to have some spicy lands in here, right? First up, a stock utility. We got Path of Ancestry in the deck. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And when a mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, you can scry 1. Reliquary Tower. Very good. It's similar to Thought Vessel because we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards. We're going to be getting a bunch of value from our commander throwing it into our hand. So, of course, we have no maximum hand size. You can tap for a colorless. Restless Anchorage is actually a man land. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a white or a blue. You can also pay 1 white blue. Until end of turn, Restless Anchorage becomes a 2/3 white and blue bird creature with flying. It's still a land. And whenever Restless Anchorage attacks, you just create a map token. So, hey, why not make a land into a bird? Help our deck go. Rogue's Passage. Tap for colors, pay 4, tap it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. And 3 Tree City, because kindreds matter. As this enters, you choose a creature type. Birds. You can tap for colorless, or you can pay 2, tap it, choose a color, add an amount of mana that color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen type. Hopefully we're making a ton of mana. All right, we are taking advantage of some landfall triggers. So what better way to do that than to fetch? That's right. We can get 2 landfall triggers off of all of these next cards. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse, they say the exact same thing. You can tap them, sacrifice them, search the library for a basic, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle. Fabled Passage says something very similarly, exact same language, except it also adds the added sentence of then if you control 4 or more lands, you untap that land. All 3 of these cards are very important. These next 3 fetches care about their specific colors. Misty Rainforest, Windswept Heath, and Flooded Strand. They all tap, pay 1 life, search their respective colors like I said. So Misty, you could tap it and go and get a forest or island. Windswept, you go and get a forest or plains. And Flooded Strand, you go and get a plains or island. So just a fantastic way to go ahead and, hey, maybe go get whatever color you need. Maybe get multiple colors you need. Just keep fetching. So let's go ahead and talk about the lands of our colors. These first 3 are the shocks of our colors. That's right, they enter the battlefield tapped unless you pay 2 life. In that case, they enter untapped. You can go ahead and get them with the fetches we just talked about because they are their respective land types as well. So Breeding Pool is a forest island, obviously taps for a green or blue. Hollowed Fountain is a plains island that taps for a white or blue. And Temple Garden Forest Plains taps for a green or white. Of course, what is an EDH deck with not our bond lands? So we are throwing in the bond lands as well. Bountiful Promenade, Rejuvenating Spring, Sea of Cloud, all enter the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. But like I said, we are playing EDH, so hopefully at the time you're drawing these, you do have those opponents so they come in untapped. Bountiful taps for a green or white, Rejuvenating, green or blue, Sea of Clouds, white or blue. Spara's Headquarters is our Triome in these colors. It's a forest plains island. Always enters battlefield tapped. You could cycle it away if you draw it late for 3. But yeah, fetch this as well. You can go ahead and just go and fetch this. It's fantastic. Command Tower, land, tap for any mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And Exotic Orchard, very similarly to Fellwar Stone, you can tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land and opponent controls can produce. So we're 3 out of the 5 colors. Someone's got to be playing another one of those. And finally, last but certainly not least, we've got 6 forests, 5 islands, and 5 plains to wrap up our basic lands. And that is it. That is my build for Choco, Seeker of Paradise. We are playing with birds, we are playing with lands, and that is what we're trying to accomplish. Just swinging for a bunch of damage. And hey, this was a bird's eye view of the entire deck. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let me know what your guys' opinion is of this deck. My final thoughts of Choco, Seeker of Paradise. Mentioned in the beginning, I love a good landfall deck. That's what this is. Except it takes that other element that I love in Magic. It's all Kindred. I have so many Kindred decks, so playing around with this deck was so much fun. Like I said, description, you'll find the whole entire deck list. Play test it yourself. Let me know what you think. Also, while you're down in the description, you'll find links to all of our social media accounts. Follow us on those as well, so you're staying up to date with everything else that we got going on. You don't want to miss it. And on the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It really does mean the world to us. If you guys wanted to check out what they're seeing, which is exclusive content, some early access content like this video. They got to see this video early. If you guys wanted to check out some early content, check the link in the description below and consider subscribing. And a very special shout out to our Gains Indestructible tier, starting with Aaron Hill, Aaron Martin, Brian Ganella, Daryl Tripp, Demarion Turner, Jock Jerome, Jimmy Ward, Kevo, Larry Killian, Samuel Abbott, Thrifty PSGR, and William Colombo. You guys are awesome. Appreciate every single one of you. And until the next video, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.